Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the Sickcast, aka the Siblings and Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Donnie, joined by my buddies/co-hosts, Noah and Thomas. And this week we have a special guest, Mr. Jeremy Chen, the recent winner of Battle Hardened Atlanta and absolute local terror on Dromai, soon to be something else. Whether you're a veteran card gamer or a first timer just testing the waters, we are all siblings in cardboard. Guys, how have things been since the last time we talked?
I played 26 games of Classic Constructed between Friday and Sunday.
I am extremely jealous. I was covered up in classwork all last week, and the only games that I really got to play was at the Battle Hardened.
But they were fun games, and that's what
they were phenomenal. It was a great day, man.
See, look,
I had so much fun on Saturday. It's not even funny.
Didn't we tell you you're going to have a good time? Go out there and have a good time.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm glad I ended up choosing Uzuri. I'm glad I didn't play Katsu because I would have felt like high-rolly bullcrap all day, and that wouldn't have been fun for me. So I'm glad I chose the more grindy deck. And
I did high-rolly bullcrap all day. I did some of the most unfair play lines to some of my opponents. I had a 31-14 life deficit against an Azalea and still killed her.
Ooh.
She opened up the game with a dominated double pumped Red and Ledger.
Ooh. Okay.
And I chose to go second, and my turn going second was 3 damage, pass. But I scrambled it back. I was reasonably successful. I went X3 in Battle Hardened. That's not quite good enough to get into top 8, but someone else in this podcast did quite a bit better.
Yeah, how was your weekend, Jeremy?
Hi, everybody. My name's Jeremy. I'm a local Atlanta player. I play Dromai.
Played.
It's past tense now.
No. If he shows up tomorrow in Armory, he can play it still.
And you say
Dromai's still legal till Friday.
And you say local terror, but he's been too busy to even show up to Armory, so we haven't been able to test into Dromai on paper.
It's okay. That'll change soon. I graduate in a month, so.
Oh, congratulations!
I'll be back.
Congratulations. That's
fantastic,
huge.
Man. Yeah, what's your degree in? I don't know if I've ever actually asked or been told.
Oh yeah, I'm an electrical engineering student at Georgia Tech.
Oh, cool.
You're wrapping up your undergrad, right?
Yeah, I'm wrapping up my undergrad. I'm getting out of school, getting a job, and I'm gonna play a lot more Flesh and Blood after that.
Excellent. I was so happy when I finally graduated from Georgia Tech.
It's a busy life.
It always feels good to graduate, though. That degree means a lot. It's put a lot of work and a lot of hard effort into that. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I'm still in the first few months of mine, so yeah.
You'll get there, man. It's a grind.
March of 2026. That's what I'm looking at as my graduation. It's still a good ways off, but hey, we can only get there one day at a time, right?
Exactly.
So before we get too deep into Battle Hardened Atlanta, because I think that will be the subject matter of almost the entire podcast.
So much to talk about there.
Let's talk about the rise and fall of card prices. I think I want to imagine just Illusionist, Ninja, and Assassin cards just continually going up, and some shiny dragons are probably going down.
And
quick note.
Quick note.
No,
Jeremy, jump in anytime, man. You ain't gotta sit there and wait to be called or anything. We want just free flow conversation, just like we're sitting around the table at the Armory, man. Just don't be shy. You have an opinion,
I want to get
out.
into the question, so let's knock out our market minute.
So, Donnie, you weren't here actually when we had the special guest. I kind of crafted the market minute just a little different, just to make sure that we don't spend too much time on it. But I wanted to do like an all rounder. So I'm gonna give 3 cards that are kind of on the upswing. I'm gonna give you a card I think you should dump, and I'm gonna give you a card you should speculate on and pick up. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. That's the kind of the flow we're gonna roll with. So what we got for us is the Wonders. They call him like the Sandwich Wonder Boy. He's got a bunch of names. Brody Spurl. He's
Kid Wonder
hell of a
Bread.
player. Amplifying Arrow has pretty much gone up solely because of him. Obviously, he's been the one running it. He's been the one unveiling it. He's been the one. I mean, I'm sure other people have teched it out, but he's getting the screen time, and he's the one winning the games with it. So not a crazy amount, but that Majestic was absolutely useless in terms of price wise. 44 cents at its lowest.
Wow.
Rainbow foils less than $1.
Yeah.
Rainbow foils are now up to about $4 or $5, so it's a pretty big increase. I mean, we're not talking about something crazy, but it is on the upswing. I think the arrow is actually completely underrated. I think it's an amazing card. She's going to pump anyway. You get really good value out of it. Feels pretty good. It blocks 3. I mean, there's some things to like about it. It's yellow. Pitches. You can death dealer on it. It feels all right. And then the normal ones are going for about $2, $3. So they're crawling up there. It feels like a pretty good card. Nothing too crazy. But if, for those who don't know, Amplifying Arrow is a 0 cost yellow arrow that has 2 attack base, 3 defense. And it says, while Amplifying Arrow is face up in any zone, if it would gain power, it instead gains that much +1. So you pump it for 3, it's going to get 4. So it's just really good value. It feels like a pretty good arrow. I like the tech. Solid Azalea. Azalea's been seeing a lot of play too, obviously, and I think she'll continue to see. I think she'll continue to see more play. I think she's great into the field. Maybe not against Prism, but like Murkmire grapples a thing. So the next card isn't as high as it was, I guess, when it first came out, but it dropped instantly and actually starting to pick some steam back up. And that's Standing Order. We talked about this card before. I think the card's fantastic.
It's a good card.
I keep wanting to fit it in the Katsu.
It doesn't fix or like a send packing type of arsenal attack, right? Because you can't. The card's already gone before you're gonna be able to defend with it. But it's like it helps with CNC, right? You're gonna get that card blocked up to a 5. People are running Balance of Justice now. So you're starting to like, do I get the balance? Do I get the crown? Well, now I don't have crown. I don't have access to crown at Arsenal. Standing Order. Like, you're not going to get the card back, but you still get the value out of the card. Your Arsenal
at least 2 points off the card.
It lets you Arsenal cards that you usually don't want to Arsenal because they can get stuck there too, because you could just filter it back into your deck later.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool plays with it. I think the card is completely underrated. I think it's a fantastic card. And so it was down about $4, $5. We've seen it double, so it's at 10. It's back on the upswing. I actually think the card will continue to gain price. It'll probably top out about $15 until something crazy happens with it, and then, who knows? Sky's the limit in Flesh and Blood. But for those
my
that
players played it in their decks for Guardian, so I think they'll come up under $4.
Well, I know Pudding had 3 copies in his Katsu deck at Fouquet. So
yeah, and I can tell you it's exactly that reason I said. It's so that you could like put your Bonds of Ancestry in Arsenal. If you just don't draw the hand to use it, you could filter it back into your deck so you could find it later.
It's got most of your cards blocked for 2 anyway in Katsu, like most of your good cards. I'm not gonna say all of them, but it's a feels good to like get CNC'd in a deck like that and go, oh, okay, my card's still safe. Like it actually does feel pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, Standing Order is a zero cost red pitch, so it only pitches for 1, 4 attack, 3 defense. When this attacks or defends, you may put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. If you do, gets +2 attack and +2 defense. So even 1 card hand Katsu, bad card in arsenal, throw it for 6.
Well,
arsenal goes away.
You could also discard it. It's also basically the same as Fluster Fist, though it doesn't have the combo keyword on it. That's kind of the rationale.
But it's also a popper too, so it's got a lot of. It can be a popper. Modes.
Lost a little bit of relevance this weekend.
Yeah, well,
just
Prism is still annoying.
I actually was worried. My most worried matchups, 2 out of 3 of them, I was undefeated, which was Prism and Azalea. I didn't think I would have so much success into Azalea.
Azalea is that 50-50 though for Katsu, right? Because like you both do so much, like you have the width. Azalea can't take the damage, but if she disrupts you, it's a whole different.
Guess people
story.
Can't hear me shrug, but
no.
I see Red and Ledger and think I don't have a turn. There's literally like no cards in my deck other than Command and Conquer. That is a relevant turn if I get hit with Red and Ledger.
I haven't.
You don't run E-Strikes?
No, but E-Strike is just vanilla damage. The Azalea goes, I'll take 7 and hit you for 11 with 2 or 3 on hits.
Yeah. I've played from both sides, not anywhere crazy, but I actually prefer to play the Katsu versus the Azalea than the Azalea versus the. I don't know why. But I just don't like staring at all the width from Katsu and going, I physically can't block with my cards. Because that's how I feel playing Azalea. Like, I know she can block. Don't
she really can't.
But she doesn't want to block, and she doesn't like. Yeah, like it's just not a good. It's not a good blocking deck. And like against that matchup, I'm like, well, he's just going to throw 32 damage in a turn and kill me. I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels.
What's the last card?
The last card is Katsu related as well. And I've been waiting for this card to go up. I don't know why it took so long. Tenacity.
That card is cracked.
Tenacity is a very cracked card. It's an amazing card. A lot of decks right now, including the deck I'm currently playing, Hatchet Story, I like to block. I love to block. I'll block every single chain. I'll block down to 1 card. I'll block down to no cards. I get punished by that card, right? Like, absolutely punished by it. And it's a wonderful card. I think it's actually better than Salt the Wound in some cases.
No, it's just straight up better than Salt the Wound.
It's like, because the name of Flesh and Blood is like, and it's you got to block at some point.
If your opponent really doesn't want to block, technically you could like search up Magenshi Release and then just blow his home up with Lord of Wind if you want to run that like combo line. If your opponent's just like not blocking. But Tenacity like fixes one of Katsu's problems is if your opponent is really good at blocking and also closing out games because of the breakpoint it comes at in. If they're Kodachi locked, you go Kodachi, any attack with go again, Tenacity comes over their hand because it comes in for a minimum of 4.
So
usually 5.
Roughly, I mean, there's the prices are all over the place. You could get them as low as $3 before, but like $4 seemed to have been like the going rate for a Tenacity. We're up to $12 now. Now that's a feels good. I'm telling you, like Tenacity is. I've been waiting for it. Like that card has to go up, right? Here it is on the upswing. I think it'll probably carry its price a little bit. $15 doesn't seem far fetched for that card. For those who don't know, Tenacity yellow. 2 pitch, 0 cost, 2 attack, 3 defense. When this attacks, it gets plus X, where X is the number of defending cards on the combat chain. So, super solid card. Generic as well, so you could play it in any deck, but it really shines in decks that go wide.
Shines in decks that can pull it out at instant speed at the end of a chain, with AKA Master Pouncing Links.
Decks with tutors on gear, which is crazy. At instant speed.
I hit with an attack by 1 point, and you've already blocked with 8 cards. Yeah, I think I'll Tenacity for like 10 or 11. Sure.
All right, so now this is gonna be a fun one. I had to think really hard about what card I wanted to tell people to dump, but this one actually makes sense. Maybe we'll see. Crown of Dominion. I feel like Crown of Dominion now loses status with Dromai being out. I don't know who else is going to be sitting there going, I want to play Royal Viserai, Royal Kasai. Like who's out there saying I need to be Royal?
Aggro Kasai is fine. I still want to try spicy stuff with Royal Dio.
I feel, and the price is shown because it's no longer it's $60 Rainbow Foil or $50. It's down to $47. I actually think that it'll continue to drop. I'm not going to tell you it's going to plummet, but that card will comfortably go back down to $25 or $30.
Yeah, I'll pick one up at 25.
I don't see people running out there right now and saying I've got to be Royal. I think the card will stay high because of the new heroes, just in case there's any crazy chance you'd want to be Royal, but like I don't think it lines up with the card pool, right? Like from what I'm seeing.
So far, it doesn't look like it.
So I just don't know what you do with it. I'm like in Blitz, sure, and some other niche. I don't know. I think that card is pretty safe right now. You got some extra copies. If you're thinking, I'm hold, get rid of them while they're high right now. I think it will continue to trend downward. I honestly do. Crown of Dominion is just your hero is Royal, and when you equip Crown of Dominion, you create a gold tip. Obviously, Kasai likes gold, and there's heroes that like gold, but it doesn't block.
Guys, what is the price of Tome of Imperial Flame right now?
$10. If
it's $14.
Yeah, it's hurts because I have
sold a play set. I sold a play set of them for like $40 each when they first came out.
That it's a hurt card. But the thing is eventually it'll come back. It'll take time. It'll be fine. If you ever wanted to get your tomes and your Marvel Dragons, I keep telling everybody, now's the time. Take the time. Speaking of things that are coming back, this card right here continues to surprise me. I don't know why it's so low. And we had 2 of them in the top 8 at ProQuest Plus yesterday, and they've taken some ProQuests and are a card or 2 away from being a real deck, and that's Grasp of the Arknight. If you have been sitting around saying, I don't want to buy no Grasps, they're $40 rainbow foils right now. They've actually dropped from 50. They were comfortably at 50 the entire time, and they just keep going. Runeblade has just lost so much, like Steam. Nobody really wants to play it. It feels kind of like there's some Viscerais rolling around, but you like one Vincent you might see at these major tournaments. They're in a pretty feels bad place right now. But get your Grasp. I'm serious. Like, you guys can start speculating a little bit as on these graphs, 30, 35. That card, when Runeblade becomes relevant, doubles. Okay? I promise you, it doubles. It's the most busted thing I've ever read in my life.
I'm convinced
and it's from an older set.
A good pilot on Viscerai is relevant already.
Yeah, but
I mean, there were 2 in the top 8 of the PQ Plus.
But the masses are waiting for that aha moment. I'm telling you,
I've seen the decks operate with good pilots. Viscerai's hero power is probably one of the most overrated hero powers in Flesh and Blood right now. Like, it's crazy. Like, most people don't realize it. They look at his hero power with a proper Runeblade hand. It's like plus 3 points of value on a turn cycle. It's wild. KO gets plus 1 point, and people are like, God, that's strong. Iroh gets plus 1 point, and people are like, wow, Iroh is like the best hero in Blitz. Like,
and Viscerai gets to do that every single time he's creating a rune chant, which is it's great. I mean, it does feel good.
That's why LSS has been so careful about releasing relevant Viscerai cards over the last few sets. I mean, they're not in any kind of hurry to give him something on a similar power level to Rosetta Thorn. So,
no,
something good has got to come at some point, because they're going to want him to eventually make it to Living Legend status, but we haven't seen it yet.
He's got a 1 cost 3 and a 2 cost 5, right? I mean, his weapons are still fine. They're not Rosetta Thorn.
Nebula Blade's I think a fine blade. It takes a little bit for you to get that value on it. But we are going to get an all arcane set. We don't know exactly what that means. We don't know if there's going to be Rune Blade. I would assume there might be a little Rune Blade stuff in there. But Viscerai will have its day, right? Vincent's going to have her day. Like, there's just no doubt about it. And these gloves, I'll even add the boots. If you guys haven't picked up the boots as well, those things continue to drop. I think the cold foils are like $5 off the rainbow foil right now. They're both at like 115 or 120. Like, that's crazy. The whole tail set's kind of down.
We're
right
talking
now
about Spellbound Creepers, right?
Spellbound Creepers, because nobody wants the cards.
Spellbound Creepers might be my favorite piece of equipment in the game. They're so cool.
No.
They're so cool. Like,
they're so broken too if you use them right.
What's
it's my least favorite card in the game.
Why?
Yeah, it's too much text on it. It looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Okay, that is fair. That is fair.
Dude,
it does have a wall of text.
The first time you get reveled in Runeblooded, when you thought your opponent was done for the turn, you're just like, oh, I understand now.
Yeah, and then you have to read it.
Yeah, you have to read all the cards.
Then you gotta wait a minute, how are you doing this now in instant? And you're getting an action point?
You could do this every turn? Wait, you could do it on my turn?
What's going on here? That's how I feel reading Runeblade cards though, because I'm like, wait a minute, what does that card do? I don't play against.
And it blocks one? What the heck?
Yeah, and it blocks one. Grasp of the Arknight, before we kick it off, is Runeblade equipment arms that came out of Arcane Rising. They're also in History Pack and a non-foil white border. And it's a once per turn, pay 2. Create a rune chant token. This ability costs an additional 1 to activate for each rune chant you control. Go again. And it's battle worn, blocks 2. They're amazing. I mean, they're battle worn equipment, blocks 2 in Runeblade.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the quintessential blocking gloves. They're rune chant generating starters.
It's one of the best pieces of equipment in the game.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like a requirement to play Vincent in Classic Constructed. Like, you can't, you could arguably play
Vexing Quill Hand. You can play Vexing Quill Hand.
That's more of a blitz focus, or like super duper aggro. But even in the super duper aggro, is 2 rune chants better or 3 block better that you could occasionally make rune chants with?
I personally like the block because it's a way of preserving hand. Like having that ability to block the two from the board state is just so that just
Vexing
seems
Cool
so
Hand was
powerful.
Runegate Chain gas. Yeah, Vexing Cool Hand broke consistently for 8+ points of value in Runegate Chain. I don't think you get quite as much value with Vincent. In CC. In Blitz, it's probably still the piece to choose if you're trying to aggro your opponent down.
That's all I got. And you know, if you want anything, no assassin cards are going crazy yet. So if you haven't like bought 150 copies of Course of Tendency like I have, and I will, now's the time to do it because nobody's figured it out yet. But Arachne's free. He's free. He's ready to go. He's free. He's free. He's alive.
He's free from Dromai, but I don't know if he's they.
Okay.
Arachne's a they.
Speaking of things that we're speculating on, do we want to just hit up our 2 spoilers that we got at Battle Hardened Atlanta before we move on to like the interview and talking about all this stuff? They chose an interesting method of spoiling these cards, by the way.
Not the first time they've done that. They've actually done that with a couple of others, and I think it was Star City Games as well, where they've hidden them in the vendor booth, and you have to actually walk by and look in the vendor table to find the actual physical cards. I think that is so freaking cool. That is one of the coolest things that they do. Just leave it at like a little Easter egg for people coming around actually at the convention to look at, and you can actually put hands on this spoiler months before it's even released. It's awesome.
It is.
I think Flesh and Blood does the best spoilers, like by far, of any game.
I like they support their community really well too. They get their like content creators clicks and stuff.
It's
So strangely enough, even though we just had heavy hitters, which completely expanded support for Guardian, Brute, and Warrior to like levels we didn't even realize was going to happen. God, did Warrior get support?
Brutes. The Brute meta.
Yeah, and KO. Like KO is just like power class now, power hero now. We've already been spoiled a new Victor specialization and a new Olympia specialization. Hopefully we'll get another Betsy specialization too, because those are like the 3 kind of undercooked heroes. Maybe even another Rhinar specialization, because he deserves to be more powerful. He's a original Welcome to Wraith, but he has these flaws that they just refuse to fix. So the Victor specialization, I was a little bit down on it at first, but after a little bit more analysis, maybe it's better than I think. It's Visit the Gold Main Estate. Perfect. Sure, he has this big house.
Flavor is fantastic.
It is a Victor specialization. You can have 3 of them in your deck. It says pay 1, blue pitch, 3 block, non-attack action. Create a gold token. Then if you control 3 or more gold, create that many might tokens. Go again. So you have to get
a flavor
the 2
perspective.
gold
I love
first.
this card.
Yeah, this is great. Flavor perspective wise. Notable that when you play this, no matter how much gold you have, you make the gold token and you draw a card. So it's like starting stake on crack. Like if Victor ever thought about running starting stake in their deck, this card is just better. I don't know if you want to put a miss, because this is another miss for Tessa's Strength and Trounce to hit, but maybe you do. Maybe it's worth it. You get that early gold guaranteed. And then if you do have 2 gold, 2+ gold, this is just really great value at that point, because you just make a bunch of might tokens.
Having played some Victor, there's a flex blue spot that's not a hit that people have been putting weird cards in for. This fills that pretty easily. So
tell
I
me,
say go straight in.
Do you like this better than Terra Sunder? Because I feel like the flex blue spot is usually Terra Sunder, right, as an additional closer.
I've seen Terra Sunder. I've also seen there's Boulder Crush or something.
Okay.
I forget the specific ratios. I think some other Victor player could probably tell you better. But yeah, I think Terra Sunder is needed because people have said his closing power is rough. But I totally see this new card playing.
Okay.
I mean, Victor's got to go home and borrow Daddy's money to come back and win the fight. I love it.
Yeah, in my first reading of it,
that's all I got
in
to
my
say
brain, I didn't like the neurons didn't connect that it synergizes with this hero power to completely replace itself as soon as you play it.
And gives you might tokens.
So it's it's essentially -1 resource to make a gold, which flat out is good. It's fine. And then the additional might tokens you could get if you have a lot of gold already can actually just be incredible. The Olympia specialization, people are much more excited for.
That's because it does something completely different than what we've seen in Flesh and Blood at all so far.
It is extremely cool. It's also a blue block 3. Every blue block 3 you put into Warrior that's actually like a good card and not some kind of like doo-doo card that just might get some usage, like Overpower. It's great. This is called Visit the Golden Anvil. Blue pitch, 3 block, non-attack action. Olympia specialization, you can have 3 of them in your deck. As an additional cost to play this, destroy X gold you control. Equip X weapons and or equipment from your inventory. What kind of deck is this going to make? Is this like a super fatigue deck, or is this like
that's exactly
multiple Courage of Bladehold breaks in a game?
So could you have multiple copies of Courage of Bladehold in your inventory?
I didn't even think about fatigue. Yeah.
Break
all your equipment, then bring out a whole bunch more of temper stuff.
The first thing I thought of was fatigue wise, right? Because you get to run Crown, break it, put the Balance of Justice on if you want against the deck, or vice versa.
Well,
get 2 extra block on him.
Hold on, Galea replaces itself gold wise, and then adds another gold on top of that. So you block 2, break the Galea, you get the hit, you get 2 gold, and so you got the 1 gold to get your Galea back. But you could also just run 1 Galea as like your starting gold engine, and the headpiece you buy back is a Balance of Justice. If you're playing a matchup that uses BOG effectively, so you're playing Brute.
What about Crown of Dominion?
Don't you have to start the game? No, I think you have to start the game.
I don't know what the wording on that card is.
It would be funny to equip it and go, "I'm the king, baby," and then win the game immediately with like your like wasted deck slot.
Yeah, someone look it up. I'm curious.
Doing it now.
I don't know how abusive you could be on the boots. Like, I don't know if Refraction Bolters is worth having multiple slots. Wait, when you equip it? It says when you equip it?
Crown of Dominion says your hero is royal. When you equip Crown of Dominion, create a gold token.
Yeah.
so you can't start with that because then you don't get to do the break and equip, but you could equip it for a gold token, which is interesting because if you need to get a gold token back after you do it, you could intentionally do that.
Huh.
I'm thinking that Olympia is going to be slated towards a fatigue. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't want to just say that you run the fatigue, but being able to put more armor back on gives you just...
To be fair, you have to be aggressive to get the gold.
Yeah.
So, like, let's think about what pieces can he effectively do this with. Courage of Bladehold comes up first, in my mind, because you block with it once, and then you could use it as, like, a way to be able to dump more resources into up the ante, right? Be able to, like, pay the full 4 into up the ante. And then Ironsong Versus, you could block with it once, and you could block with it again and get it back, and still keep making your courage tokens. Like I said, I don't know about boots. I don't know if Refraction Bolters is worth wasting another deck slot on. But that's a 1 block that you break on demand and could get back to. Then your Galeas and your Balances of Justice are great blocking tools that you could also break on demand.
There'd be a lot of sideboard slots though too. I'm not saying we wouldn't figure out how to find space for it, but like if you're running 2 sets of armor, because it has to be in your inventory, right? And
maybe you don't run tech cards. Maybe you just run a bunch of armor and your AB package, and that's your deck. You're basically playing. So the cool thing is like you're playing a 60 card deck that's actually has like your full like 72 cards in it, but you have the consistency of 60.
Yeah, because you're just reaching for the other 12.
You're just toolboxing them in with the Visit the Golden Anvils.
Yeah. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of play testing around that. I feel like it really busts that deck wide open. There's going to be lots of different ways to take that. And, well, maybe Crown of Dominion won't go as far down as I thought if that actually starts working. That is a good swap in. That's fun.
I don't think there were any for the classes coming out in Mistveil this weekend. It was just those 2.
Yeah, just those 2 that we know about. And the next ones are going to be at the next Battle Hardened. Probably revealed in a similar way.
Okay. So let's get to questions. With the most important question first. Someone came up with a great question on Twitter. Did you finish your homework?
Oh, did I finish my homework?
Yeah.
Partially. My assignment got pushed back, and I was working on some other things, so kind of. That's my answer.
There you go.
There's always more homework.
It worked out. Yeah,
Ain't that the truth?
You're in your last semester, I guess, right? It's brutal.
Thank goodness. I need to get out of school.
Okay, so glad that's going well. So now let's talk about why Dromai for this event. Other than like,
okay,
was it a conscientious decision that I'm definitely taking Dromai, or you're like, I want to send Dromai home?
Yeah, that was it. I've always been known, like the locals know me. I am the Dromai guy here in Atlanta.
Yes.
I have been so close so many times. I have never failed the day 2 calling, and like every time I do this, I play Dromai at a calling, and I'm 1 win away, 2 wins away from the top 8. So this was like, and even the other Battle Hardened Atlanta, I went 5-2, right, and missed the top 8 that way. So yeah,
Let's
it's
note
very
that
conscious.
You were
like
top 16 at calling LA, by the way.
Yes, I was. And once again, I was 1 win away there too. So, and of course, like I got it. Like Justin came on the pod last week and said I was going to win, so I had to make his prophecy come true. So
yeah,
there was really no other heroes playing.
That's one of the coolest called shots that we've had on the pod so far.
Yeah, I think he called it
awesome.
on Twitter too or something. There's some text of him saying that Jeremy's going to win it, and then you did.
Yeah, there's Discord receipts of him being like, Jeremy's LLing Dromai. We don't need to worry about that anymore. So yeah, like it really wasn't a question. I was always going to play Dromai, and turns out I was always going to LL her.
So how did you find time to like prep for Battle Hardened Atlanta, considering like all your school and stuff?
The honest answer is I didn't in the playing game sense. So I'm always plugged in. I always know what's going on in terms of like Flesh and Blood, meta, so on and so forth. In terms of my gameplay, I'm carried by the like literal thousands of reps I've had before. Like last summer when I was preparing for Las Vegas, right? So many reps, and I just kind of carried that knowledge of playing the deck into this tournament, right? So like you'll see my list had Sweeping Blow in it, right? That's a card I love, but it's a little bit it's old fashioned in a sense, but it's the Dromai I know and love, and that's what I know. So
okay.
I think
specifically like underprepared, but
I think specifically Atlanta native Aaron Cuthbert, cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
His specific question is, how did you take so much time off and just immediately come back and go on a tear, like top 16 calling LA, Battle Hardened Atlanta? So he was really impressed that you stick to school, you don't really have much time to practice, and you just come in and play at such a high level.
Yeah, it does really help that I'm so familiar with Dromai. Like I've literally been playing this hero for about a year and a half. It helps that I'm always plugged into the Flesh and Blood happenings, and I'm confident in my own ability. So I jump back in and play a tournament, and on a deck I'm very comfortable with, so I feel good.
Okay. Speaking of Justin and that mental fortitude, that was his question. Well, first he wanted to know, how did you celebrate your win after the Battle Hardened, and how do you keep your mental game so strong? He said that you might have the strongest mental of any player that he's ever played with or against. What's your secret, man? What is it?
All right, that's a two-parter, right? Part one, I went home and took a nap, and I woke up and did homework. So
that's the best celebration.
Okay.
In terms of mental fortitude, okay, I can spend some time on this. I don't know how unique my philosophy really is, but the general gist of it is I don't get nervous for events in general. I just sit down and play them, and I have fun. And why is that? Well, it's simply because I play the game to enjoy the game, right? Of course, I love competing at high level. I'm not saying like it's more fun when you're good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I wouldn't know,
but
I'm sure it is.
But I like playing the game. So as long as I'm playing the game, I'm happy. I'm competing. That makes me happy. There's really, for me, there's nothing to be nervous about when I'm playing the game, because there are so many other things in life that could be more stressful that competing is just, is just fun for me. So here's an example, right? I'm graduating soon, right? I'm doing job interviews because I need a job to like, be alive, right? So I'm doing a job interview. I'm super stressed, right? I play this game. It's my livelihood's not riding on it. I'm just having fun, and
That's true.
Dude, I love that philosophy.
I think a lot of people could
fantastic.
take away from that more. Like it's easy to get hung up on your tournament results, but I think if you just take a step back sometimes and realize that we're here, the best TCG, the best community. I'm not afraid to say that. Well, then you realize it's all great.
It's the silly hat then, right?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. And
that. So nerves is one aspect of it. And I think Battle Hardens kind of get a little bit of a bad rap for their competitive level compared to like our higher ones like Pro Tour and Nats. But something to keep in mind for Battle Hardens and Callings is top 8 happens immediately after a long string of games. So it's not just nerves. How do you feel sitting down for your like 9th game knowing that you have 3 more after that and they're untimed?
I actually don't feel too bad, but I think that one is different in the sense that it correlates to reps. So the truth is, I didn't get much sleep the night before the Battle Hardened. Just was up late, doing other things.
You didn't prep and you didn't sleep.
Dude,
Come on, man! And you won.
Going to sleep Saturday night, and I played so much better in the PQ Plus. So maybe it's too much sleep. I don't know.
No. Don't do what I do. You should be getting a good night's sleep.
These are bad Georgia Tech student habits.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, bad college students stay up till like 2 a.m. doing projects, whatever. But it's the reps. So, I think this speaks to the nerves a little bit. But like playing in a tournament does feel different, right? There is a certain emotion or feeling around it, and what really needs to happen when you're in that is to get into the zone, right? And for me, that's Dromai. So I sit down and I already know a lot of the normal play patterns, already know what gameplay I'm executing, and that came from all the reps that I had on the hero. So what does that mean? That means I can spend my brain power on the important plays, right? When something unfamiliar comes up, when there's a very hard decision, that's when I lock in and say, okay, this is what I need to spend the brain power on. And then the rest of the games, you can muscle memory it if you're that familiar with a hero. So I'm lucky to be that familiar with Dromai, and that's where I hope to get to when playing tournaments.
Dromai was a true love. You really did enjoy that hero above anything else.
Yes, I at least before heavy hitters, before Tome of Imperial Flame came out, she was my favorite to play by far.
So let's talk about your like full run at the Battle Hardened, including your round 1, which I was just walking by the tables and I'm like, no way.
Dude, I saw that too. I was sitting behind you by a couple of tables and I saw you sitting there and I'm like, oh no, I know that hat. And I know that. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Let's see. Yeah, I'll pull up my matchups. I posted them on Twitter. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, round 1, my opponent is Mara Ferris.
The Empress herself.
Who else?
The Empress of Volcor herself.
It just had to happen.
Yeah. And
by the way, this is a terrible matchup, right?
Yeah, so this is great story time. My favorite matchup to play as Dromai is the mirror, but specifically the long grindy one, right? Because I chuck in 3 remembrances in my deck, and I'm very confident in my Dromai skill, so that if we both presented big dragons lists, I'm very confident that I would win. That's how confident I am in my Dromai piloting. But of course, with Mara, right? So it's the one playing Scar for a Scar, it's playing Flamecall Awakenings, playing Blazing Hedgehog. Like, the long story short is that matchup is horrendous for me. And I sit down and like, of course it's this one. I get super lucky. Like I go Chromai, Toma Fiendel, Mage Master Boots, Toma Fiendel. Like the best possible start I can have against that deck. I still got destroyed. It wasn't even close.
That's a card I want to talk about after you get done with your recap too.
Which card?
The Tome of Fandel, because I think that's like
yes.
that's your spicy card. So I do want to bring that back up.
We'll earmark that. We'll get to it. But yes, I lost Amara in dramatic fashion. I was like, all right,
round one loss.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'll speed through these relatively quickly.
Sure.
Shouldn't be too crazy. Round 2 is a Kasai who had 3 poppers, so I just kind of played Rake to Embers. There's nothing much to say there except for that if Kasai isn't prepared for the matchup, that's really bad for them, of course.
Yeah.
I played against Akatsu round 3. I don't remember specifically, but I just remember this Katsu like ending the game, be like, "Oh, I didn't know Dromai was a fatigue deck," and I'm like, "I'm not trying to fatigue you, man. I'm just saying that like I can grind for a very very long time, and in that sense, like I'll eke out the resource advantage against the ninjas." So it was
felt that.
Yeah. I think let's see, 2, 3. Let's see, round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. Dory. Played against Dorinthia.
What style?
It's hard to know what they're on these days. But they flip it over. Traditional Dawnblade Dorinthia. Great. I've had a lot of practice against that. I've played against Josh Lau quite a few times here in professional tournaments. So yeah, not much to say there outside of don't play 2 dragons out a turn. Otherwise, Dory can punish you. I got him good with a strong D-React chain, and from there out, there's a point in the game in that matchup where it's like, okay, I can't play out more than 1 dragon. Okay, you're at 20 life. Okay, we're gonna flip the board. That's what I did, and eventually got there off BTA. 1, 2, 3, 4. Round 5, Uzuri. Still a good matchup. It's hard for them to clear dragons, even though they have a decent number of poppers. This particular opponent brought in their entire stack against me, intending on fatigue. What's there to say about? I'm very good at playing to fatigue. I've practiced a lot. For reference, this is a Dromai player who played when Oldham fatigue was a thing, right? I had a plan for that. It was Tomotai, blow up Crown of Seeds, Remembrance Tomotai, blow up Nilrune Boots, burn them all. Burn them all. So, needless to say, I went Tomotai triple BTA against Azuri, closed that fatigue game out in style. Round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Prism. Round 6 is Prism. I have no tech. I have no time snap against Prism. This one I can say was not a skill thing from me. I can confidently say I won the previous games off my own Dromai skill. I simply got lucky. My opponent tried the combo, drew like 10 cards, and then didn't find ALS, and just
Okay.
So I got very lucky. I'll take it. Otherwise, I would have been gotten looped and died. Round 7, yeah. Now here's like where you're starting to feel the pressure,
because especially with the round 1 loss, right?
Yeah, I want to go all the way. I was saying all day, like if I lose a game, I'm going home. I'm doing my homework. But yeah, I sit down into Reinar of all things. Very, very interesting. I set up.
Do you remember if it was on Claws like or Reinar or?
Oh yeah, it was Claws.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're looking for Blood Rush Bellows here. I think this particular opponent did a pretty good job of pressuring me, but I set up good Mirror Guy passing combos, and I had an Uvia stick on the board for a very, very long time, which just generated me Ashwings. So what was nice about that game is that because Uvia kept giving me a steady stream of Ashwings, I could force him to pop every turn. Now keep in mind, Reinhar's a deck that has like 34, 35 poppers, so you do swing into them every turn, expect to get popped, and then once they run out, you finally punish them. So I played a long grindy game against this guy. Arsenal to sync to get around the barragings, and we close it out in convincing fashion. My last Swiss game of the day, round 8, was Dash. He started the game off boosting straight out the gate. Don't do that against Dromai.
Is this so I guess it was a hybrid Dash then.
Yeah, it was a hybrid dash. None of the what's it? Slab? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, slab.
Okay,
It
yeah.
used to be called Turtle Dash or something like that, Leapfrog. Now it's Slap Dash.
There's a lot of names in there. Yeah, if they're boosting a lot of the deck away, I can just block a lot. I made a lot of Ashwings. I blocked 3 cards, played a 1 card go again. I played a BTA, played the Sigil, ran that game through. So I'm at a clean 7-1, and I'm a 5th seed going to the top 8. All right, someone cover for me. I'm drinking water.
So only 5th seed for going 7-1, but that's how detrimental a round 1 loss can be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to win all 7 of my other games to top 8.
Yeah, I think so. With the number of because it was a little high for the 8 rounds with the number of people that like. It was usually it was almost like only the top table was getting in.
I know
if
that
you were X1 and you lose in your last round. It's like the top 8 players. Those X2s get in.
Yeah, I know Evan lost round 1 and round 8, and he was the 9th seed.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So that would have been a Kano in top 8, right?
Yeah, but he lost to Mara. He got the pair up in round 8 and then lost and ended up 9th seed.
I think Mara killed like at least 2 people on pair ups. They got paired up in Mara and she killed them.
That's impressive.
So
yeah,
she also the other one. It was one other person. I'm trying to think. It might have been Austin.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
All I know is she beat 5 of the other top 8 players.
Yeah. Mara was on a tear.
She did absolutely fantastic over the weekend, and like of course I had to match it to her round 1. So
until she ran into Andrew Cook, who completely high rolled the bejesus out of her.
That was an entertaining game to watch.
It sure
she
was.
even had the time snap potion, but it was just so much.
This
pressure.
was not meant to be.
Soraya was out for like 6 turns. All right, round 1, top 8. Who'd you play?
Okay, I played Jose, who's a local. He's been doing absolutely amazing on Kasai lately, so love the guy. Unfortunately, I did have to play him. Unfortunately, his Kasai deck has 6 poppers, and I played 3 Rake the Embers, and yeah, that was that. So, phenomenal player, just horrendous matchup for.
That means
shout out to Jose for just being a generally awesome dude.
You team killed Atlanta twice in top 8.
Oh yeah, hey, look, at least I didn't team kill in the splits, you know.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Hey,
true.
That's good. But yeah, I love Jose. He's a great player, great guy. Hope to see him around some more. And then the last 2 games, they're on the stream. You can watch them. I played against Andrew on Prism, of course. I have no tech for the matchup, of course. But of course, the best way to win that is to just draw Tomotai and a blue in your opening hand.
that is the best way to do it.
So brutal. Because like if you break Vestige, loop is not possible.
The funniest thing about that too is that I'm very certain that the casters like willed that into existence, right? You hear Casanova talking about like how Dromai could do it, and then you pan to like my first opening hand and it's Tomotai and a blue,
and
I'm like
casters for that round. It was
it was.
Yeah, Casanova was taking a break. It was
and,
Nathan and Ed, which is really funny because they're like not
neither one of them are
players.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining to watch that back.
It was really entertaining because Nathan was just kind of losing his mind over it.
I will suggest everybody go back and watch.
Maybe the Casanova.
But those of us that were there, those of us that were there were sitting around the table with all of our phones pulled up and watching you play that game while you were 100 feet that way actually playing the game.
No, Casanova did do it. Nathan and Ed did the previous one with Mara.
They were speculating about Prism and Dromai previously, and then after that Casanova came on and talked about the second Prism v Dromai game.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that top 8 is just hilarious to watch. So yeah, especially Nathan and Ed's antics.
Turn 1, crush the Vestige.
Yeah, and give Andrew some credit because it's been a long day for him, but he kind of misplayed that turn because he thought he could save the Vestige with ALS by cracking his helm, but ended up 1 card short.
Yeah. He needed a blue in hand specifically, but so that he could keep one more card in hand to pay for the swing the angel to kill the Dominion with. So he had an out. It just didn't have the pitch in hand.
Yeah. Or specifically to kill the Tomotai.
Yeah, Tomotai, not Dominion.
But yeah, that snowballed that game from there, and I took Prism down in classic fashion. So I'm not gonna speak to my skill in that. Both Prisms of the day were just very, very lucky. But I think I put myself in a position to get lucky.
Yeah, because I thought Prism had a really bad matchup into Dromai. That's been the talk all over social media and the internet for a little while now, is that Dromai was very favored in that matchup.
In my testing with Prism with other people, Prism's favored. If you correctly execute, because you could search your cards, you don't have to get lucky at all. It's deterministic. Prism is favored.
I think it flipped when the new Luminaris came out. Is my thought of it. So yeah, there's no time snap in my list. It is my goal was to purely just dodge. Guess getting lucky is another form of that. So yeah. All right. And then of course the finals against Brody Spurlock on Azalea. And yeah, my plan into Azalea is very, very simple. If I can block, I am blocking as much as I can. If I can't block, I will use D-Reacts and Oasis Respite or if they have Dominate, I'm going to use Defense Reacts and Oasis to block. And then when they let up and have to hit a dragon, that's great. So the game plan is make a dragon, right? Block 12, swing dragon. Block 12, swing dragon. That's the general gist of it.
Oh, really? So you're just like extracting like a 5-card hand by having that dragon on board. You're not even worrying about swinging it with a second one.
Yeah, because Azalea doesn't have a great time going at dragons, I'm very comfortable taking that game long. And I have the stuff that can block, right? I have Sync, Fate, Oasis, and a lot of times Azalea will play math, right? They'll go pump, pump, pump this thing, big arrow. I'm a big dragon player, right? I don't have very many 2-blocks. I'm happy to put 3 or 4 cards in front of those arrows because then I just swing the dragon that's on the board. Easy value. You can kind of see that happen in the game where I played a Rake to Embers and there were 2 or 3 turns there where I was like, okay, block 10, block 11, block 12, swing an action. And eventually when they have to hit the dragons or they let up a little bit, you develop your board and push that advantage very, very slowly.
Yeah, and
so
notably,
I feel confident in Azalea.
Notably, that turn where you dropped the Dominia was like an incredible setup turn that I think is
beautiful.
The choice to play the Kyloria before the Dominia, because everybody, including the casters, was like, just put the Dominia down, but you would have ripped the blue off the top. So by putting the Kyloria down and him not blocking, you technically drew the blue that would have ruined the Dominia.
Yeah, I really want to call out. Excuse me.
So, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Just want to know what was the thought process there.
Oh yes. So I think Dominia is the obvious flashy play that everybody wants to do. So I maintain very strongly that Kyloria was the right play there. There's a lot of factors go into this, but I'll explain slowly. It's a 4-power dragon that's going to draw me a card. Very likely that he will not block it. Why? His armor is too valuable, and giving me 2 cards on that swing just isn't worth it, right? So I much rather want to play Kyloria, draw something, and then play out another dragon. I think that's more value than playing out the Dominia. Now, of course, I got really, really lucky because I drew the card and it was a blue. So the other dragon that I played out was Dominia instead of something else. But because of the potential there, because I'm so certain that Kyloria will hit, and also because Kyloria ripping 2 cards out of my opponent's hand when it's the second dragon on my board is also very strong, I think Kyloria was the right choice 100% of the time.
Right, because if he blocks it rips 2 cards. If he doesn't, you draw a card. Dominia attacks, it rips 1 card. It only ever gets 1.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
That play was absolutely brilliant. That play was absolutely brilliant, but after the Battle Hardened ended, one of our friends in the Discord wanted me to give you a hard time about the red in the ledger.
Yeah, that's completely fair. It's actually funny how that happened because that was a result of, I think I made 3 mistakes within the span of like 30 seconds. So on his big red in the ledger, I happened to draw Oasis. So I went block, Oasis, pitch the Furnace, right? And so it's been a long day. I've been playing a long time. My brain I put 2 cards for my pitch on the bottom of my deck, right? My brain automatically told me that turn over, draw up, right? So if you'll see on the stream, is I actually lay down 4 cards on the table. But before I pick them up, I remember, oh wait, I still have my turn, right? And I go, oh, okay, sorry, pause. I didn't see those cards. My turn's not over. Quick. And this is muscle memory kicking me in the butt again, right? I look at my board. Chromai Dominion, obvious play. So I swing Chromai, right? Brody thinks about it, doesn't block. And then I go to reach for the Dominia, and the judge is like, you can't do that, red and ledger. And I was like, oh, right, I messed that up. So because I had almost drawn my own hand, I messed that up, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, pass. Right? And when I do that, I miss a third thing. I forget to take up my burn them all.
The burn them all, yeah. There's technically a 4th thing.
There was a 4th thing that turned too.
There was a seek that never got
resolved. There was a seek and destroy trigger that both you and Brody missed.
Yeah, but that was technically from the previous turn.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he didn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the previous turn. It's the turn you played the Dominia out. And I just chalked that up to a combination of that was a very stressful turn for Brody. I think when I went and looked at the amount of time, I think it was about 5 or 6 minutes to resolve that combat chain of blocks. And like he just quickly scooped it up too. So I just chalk it up also to game 12 fatigue. Even the incredible players at game 12 are going to make small mistakes. The mental fatigue has to be insane.
Yeah, I completely forgot. Like playing that Kyloria out and attacking with it, in my brain, I was fully ready to Arsenal Dominion save it.
Mm-hmm.
That was, but it just, the Seek and Destroy just never registered. And then, yeah. Oh, almost drew my next hand too early.
Judge missed it too.
Yeah.
Judge missed it. Brody missed it. Yeah. You missed it.
I will say, luckily, I'm looking at that game back, and if you look at the life totals, I don't think it ended up mattering, which is really, really good. I don't want to win a Battle Hardened off of something silly like that. So yeah, sure. I think in the end, it didn't really matter. If I didn't have an Arsenal that one turn, it doesn't change the fact that I ended the game at 12 life.
Now, was that the Billowing Mirage that went in that turn?
Yeah, the Billowing Mirage went in my Arsenal.
We spent almost like the rest of the game trying to figure out what you arsenaled because it stuck there for so long. We're just like,
it never got played out.
Cover? Yeah, we're like, it's got to be a sand cover, right? He's just waiting for that end of the game sand cover that just clutches it. It was a Billowing Mirage the whole time. It was a starter, right? So if you ever got to a point where you didn't have a starter, you had one.
Yeah, and obviously it just never got played out. So that's what I mean is like, yes, we both missed the Seek and Destroy trigger. It didn't change the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
Noah, you want to ask that other one we were talking about before we started recording?
Oh, you mean the most important question of all time?
Yes, absolutely. Let's get that one out of the way.
Well,
completely relevant to the subject
I got
matter.
one question before that. Obviously, this is your own list, right? I have seen you walking around with that laptop up and down, left and right. You're on my list on there. This is your handcrafted, hand-concocted over thousands of reps list. Like, this is like why you feel so comfortable. This is your 60 or your 80 cards, right? I mean, I assume you've got other influence coming in, but at the end of the day, that's your 80 picks.
Yeah, for sure. I'm one of the only Dromai players really in the Atlanta area, so yeah, it's fully my own.
I like that because I mean I'm not saying everybody, but like people get influenced or you talk around, but like I have seen you looking at that list more than playing the actual game, and so it felt good to go, man, that time was well spent because you had the right 80, right 80, and it Toma, it's good stuff. Now, the real important question that we had was, this is really important. Would you rather fight one horse-sized goose or 50 goose-sized horses?
Who asked this question?
I have no idea, but I'm going to assume that it was somebody who really wants to know your opinion.
I think it's one of our
geese
locals,
and doesn't
Will.
like geese.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably that's a Will question.
Okay, if it's Will, that probably makes sense.
That's a Will question if I've ever heard one.
Okay. My answer is 50 goose-sized horses, right? Because they're like yay big, right? So I feel like
geese are big, bro.
Yeah,
geese are a big bird. That's a big bird.
But horses are really big.
Yeah.
Also true.
I don't know. I think Donnie was right about being able to kind of punt and kick around the horses. You don't have the beak.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's the big beak on that horse-sized body of a goose is just terrifying.
Yeah, I'd rather I'll punt the mini ones. I think that's the best way to go. Like, not that I have too much soccer experience.
Yeah, for the record, Siblings and Cardboard podcast does not condone animal violence in any way, shape, form, or
especially mythical animals like goose-sized horses.
Don't do that.
So I want you to talk a little bit about your Tome of Findle, because I think that is one card that is not being run in like really any competitive Dromai list that we've been seeing for the past few months.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to speak to it. So the way that Tome of Imperial Flame, the other book, has really shaped the list is that you're only really running 3 non-red cards, which is Passing Mirage. And what that means is like the lists have gone more towards Ravenous Rabble, Scarf or Scarf. Now, I like playing the grindy games, which means a lot more 3 blocks. So I don't play Rabble and Scarf. What I do is I'm already playing Mage Master Boots for the Pauper decks, right? I want to Mage Master Boots out my Passing Mirage.
Mm-hmm.
I might as well put that slot to use in the decks against the decks where I need to, or I don't need to make that Passing Mirage play, but I still want to do something with the boots, right? So the Snapdragon Scalers are a lot less useful in a deck which doesn't play Snatch in the main deck, doesn't play Easter Egg. So I'm trying to set up my 5-card play of like I block, I do a lot of blocking, I play long games, and then on the turn that I draw the perfect Tome of Fyendal setup, that's go time, right? That's my pivot. That's how I win the game. So, and I've played Tome of Fyendal since the very beginning, and my list does get influenced by the other Dromais out there. I mean, right? I get around, I watch all the other Dromai content. But one thing I've stuck very hard to is the Tome of Fyendal, and it paid off big in matchups like that Azalea game.
How much life? Do you usually get to play it for the life gain? You actually do get to arsenal it.
Yes. I don't play it unless I get the life gain.
Okay.
How much life I gain? That depends. Depends on blocking context, how much life I'm currently at. But I never play it. I basically never play it out if I don't gain the life off it. So yeah,
it seems like a valuable source of ash too, right? Doesn't the Mage Master's boots cost you 1, and then the tome is 1 cost? Yeah, so you generate 2 ash from that play as well.
Yeah. Before Imperial Flame, yes. Now Imperial Flame always gives you enough ash.
Yeah.
It's too easy. You see why I don't like the card.
Tome Imperial Flame just gets ash, just like there used to be an ash economy in Dromai, and Tome Imperial Flame just says you just have tons. You have 6 free ash in your deck. Like,
they wanted her gone. They gave her broken cards until she was gone.
Well, she is gone.
Yes, indeed.
So speaking of, what do you think are the biggest meta winners now that Dromai is leaving?
Yeah, I think Assassin is the biggest winner from this one. Now I'm not gonna pretend to be some great predictor of these things. I'm frankly not the best at them, but from my experience, Assassin feels very good, right? It has play into most things except for Dromai and Kano. And yeah, I like where Assassin is sitting after this, and I'm happy to cast some Codex of Frailties after Dromai is gone.
Okay, so you're gonna move into the Assassin class, you think? Are you also a new main? Are you going to be a new main when Mistveil comes out? Because we got some stuff to talk about if that's what's happening here.
Oh, I'm happy to talk new with you, Donnie. I think all 3 of the new heroes look great. So it just depends on which one strikes my fancy the most.
It's new. It's obviously new. It's got to be new.
You kind of like answer 2 questions at the same time, like who gets more stonks now that Dromai is gone, and kind of who do you like plan on playing now that Dromai is done? We're in the terms of weeks from US Nationals.
Yeah.
So
okay. The locals know this about me, but I always look at the new sets and I say, oh, the new heroes, they look so cool. And then the new heroes come out and I'm like, dude, this new hero is trash. It loses to Dromai. And then so for tournament, I play Dromai. I am excited to finally not be lying. I will, like, I promise I will play a new hero at US.
Well, you have to play a new hero.
I heard this
You are
running
free,
joke
sir. You are
the
free.
Dromai mains might just show up with Dromai and get DQ'd and just like raise their pitchforks. Be like, we still want to play her. Let us in. Because let's be for real. Dromai is a great hero, but she's really not. I don't think she's on the power level to compete in the Living Legend format.
Yeah, probably not. She,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, she plays
no idea.
slow, nothing crazy. Like,
Nothing she
I don't
does
think
is
any pro players are,
inherently broken. Like, kind of like Chen and Viscerai and Starvo can do, right? Or Stubby's Fi.
Yeah. It's more so that, like, the broken things that she does are tied into illusionist permanence.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, I don't think she keeps up with, like, Starvo, but I also don't play LL format. I only play CC, so I'm not the best person to answer that.
We'll
Fair.
see if Mara manages to cook up something spicy to try to.
Yeah, I'll leave that to Mara.
success in Dromai.
She beat me and can speak to that.
Well, how's it feel being the one to, like, actually send her off? Like, of course, there are people who got credit for winning Proquests. There were some Proquests that got reported way before you finished your win, considering it went to like 10 p.m. Yeah, but you did the like final like competitive event of Dromai's career.
Yeah, you are the face of sending her off into the realm of living legends. How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm delighted to be the one to actually do it. I've been dreaming of a Dromai. Like, I'm confident in my own skill as a Dromai pilot, but I've never had the top 8 to prove it, right? And now I've been so close so many times, and now that I won the event that pushed over the edge, it's my dream come true. It's great, and gives you validation for all the hours and hours I've put into this deck.
Yeah,
so
Man,
it's a good
I love
feeling.
that for you. I really love that for you. That's awesome, dude.
I was
And
so
congratulations
excited.
again.
Yeah, congratulations. I wish I would have been there to tackle you when you won it. I was sitting here like screaming.
I was disappointed
But,
you weren't coming to the PQ Plus. I know you had to do homework, but I was like, come do the PQ Plus tomorrow. You should have. It was weird.
Speaking of the win, what was your gold foil? If you don't mind me
Oh,
asking.
I didn't open it.
You still have it sealed?
I think there's like a blackjack tavern
No
on Facebook
way.
right now.
Oh, are
Yeah,
you
I'm-
doing that?
No, I found a seller already.
Oh,
Okay.
was it Lee?
No,
at
let's not
Daily
ask who
Investments?
actually bought it.
Okay, sure. I was saying,
Okay,
if it is Lee,
That's their business.
that dude is
That's
cool.
their business.
That dude is cool. I hung out with him all weekend.
And if
Great guy.
anything falls through, I might want to buy it. but that's separate.
All
But
right.
no, congratulations either way.
I don't want to run too long. I want to talk about the PQ Plus just a little bit, because I had a reasonable amount of success. I actually managed to top 8 with Katsu. I did some really unfair stuff. My only loss in Swiss was to Mr. Mansant, who sat across from me and said, "You've already won this." And I'm like, Ethan, just consider me the final boss. You could beat me. I know that the Katsu Leviah matchup is kind of cursed. I agree. That's why I'm playing Katsu right now, to learn it better. And he beat me. I didn't punt, like, no big punt or anything, but like when he killed me, he still had Scowling Fleshbag up. So it was a good whipping he gave me. It was probably my most convincing loss of the entire weekend. Even more than top 8 into Agroblaze. So I made it top 8. I can give a quick rundown of my matchups, but I won't get too in depth. Oh, I had them up, but maybe I killed it. So maybe I won't. Did I save it? Oh, I did save it. This is why I write them down now, because I'm so brain drained. I try to think back and I can't remember anything. So round 1 was Dash.io. I think the person was a little unexperienced into the matchup, so they didn't really understand what to block and what not. And they ended up blocking, I think, too much. And they started to lower her life total as well. So just end up taking them out. Every KO, round 2 was KO. Every KO I faced, I completely splattered them. Like, I didn't have a single close match. Maybe the life totals got down low, but that's not always really telling in Flesh and Blood, because sometimes you just go no blocks and deal them 40 damage. Round 3 was versus a Bolton. That one was close and a little spooky. Bolton has good armor. I made a huge misplay. I don't have enough experience into the chess piece Soulbound Resolve, and I attacked him on turn 0, and he blocked with Soulbound Resolve, prevented the damage, made it where I couldn't even try to chip with the second Kodachi because it makes it where you prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to you. And he charged the banneret that gives him a quicken token.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh God, I just punted. I just literally punted the game. It was probably one of my biggest misplays of the tournament. And especially, it was definitely my biggest misplay from lack of knowledge, because he got to start with an extra soul and a quicken token. It's like everything Bolton could want, right? So I managed to scrub it back. Then I lost round 4 to Ethan. Round 5, Azalea. I was really worried about Azalea going into this weekend. I'd never lost a game to Azalea. I don't know. I thought it was unfavored because of Red in the Ledger and Arsenal hate and all of that stuff. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I feel like Azalea has to get lucky to beat Katsu. She has to see exactly the right cards, because she does not want to block, and everything that Katsu throws is an on-hit trigger. So, yeah, I feel like that's probably Katsu favored, even if it's not extremely favored. But, yeah, she just does not want to block.
My round 6 was versus a KO. I was technically losing, but he got unlucky on one of his discards and discarded a Bear Fangs on one of his Blood Rush Bellow turns and did much less damage than he was going to. And it did end up mattering in the end. And then after that turn, I set up a turn where I think I did a triple bonds with Art of War. So I basically one-shot him from almost full health in 1 turn. And my senpai, shout out to Taylor Crawford, who helped teach me how to play the deck. He was watching, and I saw him just as soon as I started, he just shook his head and walked away. The game, he knew the game was over as soon as I started doing it. And then my last round was against Nathan Crawford. He was on Viserai. He was one of the 2 Viserais that got in top 8. That's why I said the PQ plus was weird. There's some weird, no Kanos. There were 10 Kanos in the Battle Hardened. There was 1. There was 1 Kano, I'm pretty sure, in the PQ plus. And so I flattened Nathan. Sorry, Nathan. I had the nuts every single turn. I think I drew Surging Strike plus a Gust Wave every turn. So he just has to go, am I dying this turn? Am I dying this turn? Am I dying this turn? And he's having to block, and he's still managing to keep up in the game. It wasn't like the life total wasn't that bad until we hit about 20, and then I just killed him for 20. Because I'm actually surprised at how much equity Viserai can get with 2 card hands, by the way he generates rune chants and throws them at you. 2 and 3 card hands. He's very, very high equity on that because of his hero power. And then round 1 was I finally faced a Victor. I managed to gem dodge Victors all weekend. And of course, the top 8 brackets is Azalea versus Azalea, Viserai versus Viserai, Leviah versus Leviah, and Katsu versus Victor. Come on. Just give me any of the other 6 and I feel like I have a game. And it's against Agroblaze. He does a great job in the matchup. He understood it really well. I had to block with some red cards early on, so I already knew that I probably wasn't going to be able to do this really explosive turn because I've already lost some of my explosive cards. And it turned into this grindy matchup, and we take it down to 1 point of value. I have him on Kodachi lock, and I'm just throwing cards into him. And I think I have 6 cards left in my deck. He has 8 or 9 cards left in his deck. And so I'm going to lose the fatigue race. He's running Titan's Fist. If he keeps a blue that activates Titan's Fist, it comes in for 4. It takes 2 cards from me. And I draw my hand, and it is my hand was going to be Kodachi's Spinning Wheel Kick Tenacity. He's at 1. He has no armor left. That is deterministic lethal. It is unblockable with a 4-card hand. Unless I think if he literally has 2 4 blocks, which I think he didn't at that point. So my only way to beat him is if I go into him that previous turn and saw that he had to block with I didn't see any blue cards, and he just didn't have a blue. But he did. He had the blue. He swung in for 4. He forced me to block with 2 cards. I had to block with the tenacity. So it's just Kodachi, spinning wheel kick. He keeps the blue. I go up to a hand of 3 cards. He swings in for 4, and I just concede because it's a deterministic win. So close. And I even I played 100 wins. I played 7, I think either 600 or 700 wins that game, and still couldn't quite fatigue him.
Wow. You needed 1 more life, right? We were talking about.
If I was at 1 more life, I could have taken 1 damage, and Kodachi spinning wheel kick tenacity wins the game. It was so close. But it was a fantastic game. I've never been congratulated in my entire life of anything I've done like that for losing. I've never had people come up and be like, dude, that was an amazing game. So it felt really validating because like both players, people were like cheering and stuff because it was just a completely well executed game because I was really far behind after having to block with some power cards. But yeah, that was my PQ plus. It was a lot of fun. I played a lot of Flesh and Blood.
Playing, man.
Great run, man. It's always fun to watch you succeed.
Agreed.
And I heard you did pretty well on Azuri, at least in the early bracket, and you struggled at the end.
Well, I started the tournament as 4-1, and my one loss in the first 5 rounds was to a Kano that did like 90 something damage to me after pitch stack. Literally nothing I could do about it. It is what it is. It's Kano. I had so much fun playing every single round. I have no complaints about any of the games that I played, except in round 6 I played against Andrew on Prism. And I just continuously made a comedy of errors playing into Prism because I have no reps against this hero whatsoever. But funny enough, he had the absolute crappiest draws in the world in the first half of the game. It was embarrassing on both sides because his draws were terrible and my play was awful. But I was at like 46 because of 2 sigils. And he was at 9 when he started drawing the tomes and absolutely just vomited his entire deck onto the board. And I got one-shotted like 3 turns after that. I mean, I tried to go for fatigue and I thought I was going to get it. But then, yeah, I just got obliterated. It just was not even close from that point forward. But the coolest thing that happened for me over the course of the entire event was in round 5, I met a guy named John. That apparently you guys know, but this gentleman did not know me at all, except he recognized me from the podcast. That felt amazing. John, it was a fella named John playing Katsu, and unfortunately for him, I am very familiar with Katsu, and that was my round 5, and he played a Razor Reflex against me in like turn 1 or turn 2, and I'm like, okay. There was a few turns later where he tried to present a blue Fluster Fist and a full hand, and he was running Breeze Rider Boots. I'm like, huh. Okay, we're blocking 7 here.
Yeah. You blocked like you at least block 5, but you probably want to go ahead and block 6. Yep.
Yeah, and then the next turn he tried it again with a Whelming Gust Wave and still couldn't get it. Because I'm like, oh, I know what you got now, man. I mean,
yeah, it's a handful of no-go again, and you're trying to
getting that on me.
You're trying to get a hit in.
But it was a really cool game. It was a very great interaction. At the end of the game, you guys, I don't remember if I've told you guys the story, but in Baltimore, I got that frailty token from one of the Team Poland guys. I was playing against Julian, the Kano player, in round 7, I want to say. And one of the Polish guys, one of the Team Poland guys, just came by and dropped a frailty token on my mat and said, "This is for playing in the calling." I gave John my frailty token just because that was the first time that I've been recognized from the podcast, and that was a really special interaction for me. That was really, really cool. And John, I appreciate you, man. I told you I was going to give you a shout out on the pod. I hope you're listening because I really enjoyed meeting you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, he's one of the like Macon Dublin guys.
And that was the highlight of my weekend, bar none.
That was a great story. That's beautiful.
That is always nice. We love John. We haven't been out there in a hot minute into the Macon Dublin.
been busy. Like Flesh and Blood has gotten significantly busier this year. Like they're really pushing it.
I learned a valuable lesson really quick on my no sleep driven ProQuest Plus that I played. I was up all night. I made deck changes at 4 a.m. and I never got an ounce of sleep. So I literally I had no sleep. I didn't sleep in the car. I didn't sleep anywhere. It was kind of miserable. It's my own fault. I still had some fun. I still played some games, but I did gamble. And I will never, ever, ever gamble ever again on Reckless. As much of a gambler as I am,
okay,
I am confident enough to tell you guys now. I say this now, but I'm the player that wants to play like I'm either win or lose. But like I don't think I can physically ever gamble anymore. I looked at him and I just looked at my hand and I was just like, I looked at his deck and I said, "This is great." I said, "You know what?" I said, "If you get it, you get it." And I said, "I gamble." And I went there and did it, and of course he gets it. And I go, "Well,
did he have it at Arsenal or did he get it in hand?"
He drew it. He drew it. Like that was the best part about it. I was just like, the thing is, he thought he sided them out, and he made a mistake because he was saying, he like made like a weird comment like I don't play Reckless, and I was like, oh, I was like, okay, well that's cool. But I didn't know if it was like a mental mind game or whatever. But I was like, you know what? I was like, you get him in there, you get him in there. I don't mind. I was going to buy his judge pack anyway. So I was like, I'm already going to gamble on that. I might as well gamble on this. What are the odds? Right?
Bonk.
The odds were he
usually about 1 in 60.
Oh, well,
50-50. Either has or he doesn't.
I lost the odds on that. Now it was bad. It was bad. A lot of it I'll just chalk up to zero sleep, but I still had fun. There's always fun playing Flesh and Blood, and we'll have a better showing this week.
That's the best mindset to have. You're playing Flesh and Blood. That's all you need.
Yeah, I just sit down and try and have as best a game I can against my opponent, and hopefully nobody screams at each other at the end of the game. That's it. I just want to play some cards, man. I'm not worried about the rest of it.
What are y'all playing for the PQs as we wrap up?
Fi. I'm a Fi main. Always have been, always will be.
What?
Uzuri. I'll be playing Uzuri.
You guys know I've only played 5.
Dash.io or more Katsu practice is probably what I'm going with. Jeremy, do you want to reveal it, or you want to wait until you
He's
show up?
He's also on Fi.
Oh, okay.
I'll reveal it. I'I'm not playing in any Proquests.
Oh, you're not coming to PQs this weekend?
No, not this weekend. We're wrapping up the year. I have plans with my friends here at college, so I'm gonna take I'm happy sending Dromai out. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from Flesh and Blood, and then part of Mistveil World Premiere. That's my next time playing with Flesh and Blood.
Heck yeah! Okay.
I think that's a good way. You get to go off and then come back.
Are you going to Tokyo?
Because your hero's gone.
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
he's gonna be there.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't even know that.
I have to tell this story now. So my friends and I, my post-graduation vacation trip has been Japan. It's been settled for months. And I'm walking to class one day and I see announcement, part of Mistveil. I was like, okay, I love the name. I love the theming already. And I read the article further and said, world premiere, Tokyo. And I was wait a second. I checked my schedule. Right. I am literally in Tokyo on the day of the world premiere.
That's so cool.
Oh, dude.
That's
fate,
so lucky.
Man. It's absolutely fate.
I am the luckiest man alive. Like I went home.
Okay, so that means we're using you to get the Majestics and stuff that are going to be hard to get for Nats.
Oh no, yeah, so something like that. I'm gonna get as many Japanese cards as I can. But it's really funny. So I went back. I told my girlfriend, I was like, okay, I know you want to go to this festival or whatever, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna go play cards.
Okay, just for the record, real quick, if you find a Japanese Marvel new, there is no limit to the sketchy things I would do to work out some kind of deal if you can bring that card back this way, okay?
That's a blank check. Bless. Okay, that's the best thing you're ever going to
These
get.
Mistveil cards are going to be expensive
They
until after Nats.
Okay,
yeah, I know there's a lot of locals that want your hands on cards, so I'll happily be a pack mule. It'll be great.
There is one more question from another local that I really wanted to get out. Let's see. From our sibling Chris, he wanted to know, you've been trying to get the spinny beanie on stream for the longest time, and when you finally do, you win. Is there any correlation to that? He wanted to know because apparently he's concerned about a run on spinny beanie hats, and he wanted to beat the market to him.
I'm not a particularly superstitious person, but I think the results speak for themselves in this scenario.
Fair enough.
Get your spinny hats while you can.
I would. They're about to skyrocket.
They're gonna be sold out at Walmart.
That's
Maybe.
the secret market bid here, guys.
That's
There you go.
the secret
Okay.
market. You're not gonna get that from me. That's the secret one. Get your spinny
so
hats.
that's
It
a
makes you play
congratulations to all the people who made it to the end of the episode.
For real. Y'all the real goat.
Well,
We got anything else, guys?
when it goes long because we're having fun, that's okay.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
I'm good.
Noah, where can everybody find you, buddy?
Epic MaxFab on Twitter and Twitch.tv.
Thomas?
At What the System Fab on Twitter, and anywhere you see What the System, that's me.
Jeremy, is there any shout outs that you want to make? Any social medias you want to plug? Anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Just want to shout out all the locals in Georgia. I love you guys dearly. I'm sorry for terrorizing you guys with Illusionist. My Twitter is at jchenfab. That's where you'll find me. I post like my tournament stuff on there. That's about it. But yeah, if you want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk all things Dromai, even though she's gone now.
Thank you very much for joining us, man. It
Yeah,
has been
thank
an
you so much,
absolute
Jeremy.
pleasure. This has been one of the most fun episodes I think we've had. I really appreciate the talk. As far as my socials go, I am Draco Hominis87 on just about all the social medias you want to look me up on. On fabric.gg, I write several different article series. The last one was the review of Calling Phuket, however you say it. Next one will probably be a UPF brew. I haven't completely committed to what the hero is going to be yet, but we'll see what happens with that. Otherwise, if you see Siblings in Cardboard on any of the live streams, that's probably me. Say hey. I ain't shy. But otherwise, if nobody else has anything, thank you for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed catching up with us this week, and if you did, subscribe or follow, depending on where you found us. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, we are all siblings in cardboard.
Bye, everybody. And discard your cards. Just because Dromai LL doesn't mean you get away from it. You got to discard. Proquest means professional. Pros discard their cards.